Hey YouTube, I'm going to be bringing you a video on how to replace a starter for a 1995 through 99 Nissan Maxima. I will already have it taken apart. So here we have the old starter. You can see it's very worn out. I mean, it's completely shot, doesn't work, and I bought a new one, brand new one from O'Reilly, and I'm going to show you that now. So here we have an Ultima Select. It's brand new. You know, buy it, install it, forget it. It's got a lot of new parts on it. It's better than OEMs, so they claim. And just to take a look at it. So everything comes with a little manual inside. I can tear that off. I don't need it. So brand new, pretty nice and clean. And it's a 10 tooth. I think the old one was the 8 one. I'm not quite sure, but that's the new one. So today we're going to be installing it. So we'll be back to you shortly. Alright, so now that you got the brand new starter out of the box, ready to go, first you want to figure out where the starter goes. And for starters, for this one, you always want the teeth side down, so you're going to be putting it in like this. And you got two bolts here. This one is a 14 millimeter. This one goes in the top left. And you got another hole, a bit bigger. That's a 17 millimeter, and that will go right here. So for easier access on how to put in the starter, so you don't do the bigger one's a lot more difficult to get at. So you usually start with the front one first. So let's do that first. Let's get everything, and you can take a look and where everything, where the bolt goes, so you know where to put the starter in. And if you can see that, once we find them, and it's kind of hard to look at on the camera and where everything goes. But there are two bolts that go in, and this vehicle is actually decent to work on. It's not at the bottom of a vehicle. It's actually really easy. It sits right under the intake, so very user-friendly to work with. And so we got the starter in. If we're ready to go, we can line everything up. Just wires on top of wires. Okay, I think we're getting there. The top one goes in first. I need the light. It goes in right. I think we're on it. Yeah. Yup. Alright. Okay. So now you got everything, or you just got the beginning of it. You can probably go ahead and start tightening the smaller bolt. And that is the 14 millimeter. We're going to start with 14 millimeter. And start working on the first one. Should be very easy to work with. I mean, to tighten it up, you don't want to cross thread your bolt. You want to make sure that you at least get it in nice and smooth. You don't need to struggle with it. So we got the first one kind of in. Now we're going to take the longer bolt and we're going to line that one up now. Okay, longer bolt is in, finger tight, work it with your hands, make sure that it goes in smooth and not fighting with you. You want everything to go smooth, not forceful. So there you go, I got it finger tight down there, and I'm also going to do finger tight with the first bolt as well, just to make sure. And I think I did get everything finger tight. So now you can see it sits in it. That's a pretty good looking starter. I think I'm gonna use this one now, the launder bolt, 17mm socket. And you go in there, and I think I'm going to use this one because I used this for the first one. Now I can use it for this. I think we're about good. Everything's in there. It's not tight, but all right. Actually, let's do the 14mm instead, as that one needs a bit more work with. So I'm gonna come in there and I can see where it's at, right there. And that's kind of a crowd space, so you don't have a lot of room to work with. But now that you got the starter snugged up pretty well, just a key reminder: you probably want to use an extension. It's a lot easier to work with when you're under the car. You ain't got much room, so probably a 6-inch extender would be highly recommended. Alright, now that you have your starter all pretty much snugged up in there, you want to go back and you want to do both bolts just to give it a feel. You don't want to put a whole lot of force on it, but you want to just get it enough so that it will not move at all. So definitely giving it one more, or not even a whole turn, just enough that's already in there. And just want to make sure that everything's not going to move. So that's pretty snug right now. I don't think it's going to move. And this is a 14. The smaller bolt's 14. And the blogger bolt to the right is a 17. So remember that. It may be different per vehicle, but this is what I'm working on. It should be the same for you. If I can get in there and find the other one. Alright, there it is. You want to give it, this one's still kind of loose, so go in there and give it a few more turns. Alright, I'm there. I'm there. Everything's put on there. You're not ready to connect everything. So there's a few connectors. The first one is this one, and actually there's already a bolt on this. Okay, so now I forgot to mention that when new starters come, they already have the bolt or the nut and washer already included with this. So you may want to make sure you don't drop it. Don't watch me drop it. So there you go. So now that you got your nut and washer out of the new starter, you can now connect your wire to the top. You want to do it to the top of the starter and just get it right in there nice and snug. Or at least as long as it's on. You want to put the washer right on. And then your nut. And you can just want to do finger tight. So enough it goes on. You want to make sure it's smooth and not fighting with you. And once that's on finger tight, you can go ahead. I believe it's a 14mm. Is that's what we're using for the whole starter. Very simple. It's very simple to get at. Just only 2 bolts. So you want just to get in there. Then you got the 14. Alright, so everything's snug. You when you want to make sure, when you think that the starter is snug, when you got the 2 bolts snug, just get in there, give it a few more turns. You want to put a lot of force on it, but you don't want to like break the bolt. I don't think that's even possible. You just want to put enough pressure so that as much pressure as you can without moving. You don't want to certainly use all your strength into it. You just get enough and just do it. So everything's in there. Now we have a few more, like 2 more connections. So this is the plug on from the starter. This is the one that's already connected to the car. You want to take the 2 and connect it. It's very simple. I mean, if you want to unplug it, Very simple, just push in, connect it. Alright, so for the last step, which is the battery, which is key word, safety. You want it, before you even think about taking out of your starter, you want to make sure you disconnect the negative. Disconnect the negative before you take it out, before you even touch the starter. Disconnect the negative. After you disconnect the negative, you can go in and take apart your starter. So, you got the plug in now, you got the bolts already in. Last thing to do is connect the battery. So, we have our black negative, and we're going to connect to negative. And there we go. We're in it. Alright, so now that you got your negative connected, just another thing, you can keep your positive connected. All you need to do is to disconnect the negative. So, starter, 2 bolts in. You got left and right, you got a small 14 millimeter, you got a longer 17 millimeter. You got your 13 millimeter for connecting the starter. You got this big old cable right here. That's a 13 millimeter. And this other wire is just the connection. Right here you can see the plug. Very, very simple. Last step, and you want to make sure you tighten up the battery negative. So there's a little bolt right there, and just give it in and get a few snugs. You don't want it super tight, but just get it in there. Make sure you don't want the negative cable falling off when you're driving down the road. But I think we're golden. Everything's on, nice and snug. And now that you have your starter in place and everything bolted in from the battery, we're going to give it a test fire and see if that'll work or not. So here we go, and get in the vehicle, and I'm going to set it right here, and let's see what it does. Alright, so we're running. Everything seems to be perfect. And it's good to go. All set. That's how you do it.